Hey everybody, welcome back to the Main Street Marketing Podcast. I am Skip Ranke, your host. Emma Opperman is back. She's got her little baby upstairs, but she's got to pay attention to him and not necessarily to the podcast today. So she'll be joining us next month. But today we have Lisa Raebel from Rebel Girl Revenue.
Yep.
She's going to be joining us to talk about the mid-year marketing checkup. And boy, I'll tell you what, 2026 is halfway through, and where did the time go? It flew by. And when people have very little time, like most business owners do, what do they forget to do? They forget to check on what's going on with their marketing, where they're at, what their numbers are doing, what's working and what's not working. So we're going to talk today a little bit about, what business owners could be doing in order to help themselves have a better second half of the year, if they, or maybe even a better half. I don't know. We don't want a worse half. That's what we don't want. So tell me, thanks for joining me today to do this, by the way.
You're quite welcome.
All right, so here we are, halfway through 2026.
Yep.
What do you think? What's some of the things that business owners should be doing in order to make sure that things are working for their business? What's your take on that?
Well, I find it interesting because they'll talk to their accountant and they'll talk to their finance people and whoever else that they need to talk to about what's happening halfway through the year, but they don't look at the marketing, and yet they're spending a whole bunch of money on marketing and ads.
Right.
So for me, I look at where's all the revenue coming from?
Right.
Because whether it's existing clients that upsell or renewed or whatever the case might be, great. That's about your sales and your client experience. But where are the new customers coming from?
Yeah.
Are they coming from referrals? Are they coming from ads? Are they coming from, are they past customers that came back? If you look at that and where the revenue is coming from, that way you can say this is working and this is not working.
Right.
If you're spending half of your marketing budget on something that's bringing nothing in, why are you still doing it?
Yeah.
Because halfway through the year, you have good data to make that decision.
You should at 6 months.
Yes.
What you always run into, though, invariably, is you always run into the people that always say, well, we've been doing it this way for years. We really don't look at the numbers. We don't check. Yeah, I know. It just gives you the shiver. But it's true. But we hear that all of the time.
All the time.
And, and they say, well, this is just how it's always been. And one of my questions is, I said, well, like you say, where did your new customers come from and what's working? And they said, well, we don't know that.
We didn't track it. Like, what?
That's the most amazing thing to me. So that's one of the first things I say is you have to, even if you can't just always rely on data, because they say, well, my Google ads aren't working, this isn't working because the numbers don't show it. That's maybe not where they first saw you.
Well,
where they learned about you. Maybe they learned about you from Tom at the cookout of the 4th of July, and then they Googled you. Then they did that. There's so many different touch points.
Well, and what are the numbers now? It used to be like 5 to 7 times they had to see your name and number. Now it's like 12 to 17 times because of our shorter attention spans.
The NAP theory.
And, because people do the same thing. Well, I'm not going to do a print ad because I never give any revenue out of it. And I said, well, how do you know? You can't track print ads, like how many times people saw it or if they read your article or.
Right.
But it's just one of the 17 places that they need to see you before they actually remember who you are.
Right.
Or think of you first. That's probably more important. Remembering who you are is one thing, but like when they need what you sell, they need to think of you first.
Yep.
And I think that's where marketing is really paying the bills.
And you know what I've been finding over the course of I would say probably the last 6 months is people that we've got running on like OTT or streaming, like, Roku and Hulu, and they're running ads out there, and they have these ads continually running, and they're getting, decent household frequencies where they're showing up. And it was amazing. One of our clients said, they came to me because of the television commercial. And I said, well, right. I said, because they've seen it probably if they're in the house and they're watching the same things, they've seen it 8, 9, 10 times. But when they needed it, that's when they called you, and that's where they remembered it. But they also probably saw you on Facebook. They also probably saw you on Instagram or wherever they were. And that's how they remembered you. So they happen to track, but it blows my mind that people just don't know where they come from.
Yeah, they think the marketing ROI is on one specific channel.
Yeah.
But they want to analyze each channel individually, which makes sense to a point, but you can't tell me that one specific channel is the only place you get all of your your leads.
But I call that a lot of the people we've been running into that are prospective clients we've talked to, like in passing, they do a lot of this what's known as busy marketing. Yeah. And they're doing a lot of different things, and which is, I guess, in one side of the coin isn't bad. I mean, at least they're doing something. But what's, like you say, what's actually helping them grow? I mean, and so when I talk about that, what have you been seeing lately where people have been marketing? What are some of the channels that they've been seeing has been successful for them over the course? I mean, you work with a lot of different people like we do.
Yeah.
But is social media still relevant for a lot of people? Are they doing to run Google ads? Are they doing? I mean, what have you been seeing lately
Well,
from an ads
you're going to
perspective?
love this answer because we
I'm
always love the it depends answer, right? So if you're B2C, like business to consumer,
right.
like if you have like a household product, that's one thing. I don't technically buy anything off of Facebook, but if I
No.
see it on Facebook, it's just one of those touch points to remember it later if I see it someplace else.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you're selling consumer products, that's one way of doing it, like going where the consumers are hanging out. But in B2B, it's a completely different strategy because you're selling to like corporations and the leaders of those corporations and those that type of aspect. But whether you're B2C or B to business to business or business to consumer, you're still selling to a human. And I think that's where we get lost because right now, a lot of people are going back to in-person networking. Like they're done with all the digital stuff. They want to like actually talk to somebody, a human to human. That so the B2H, the business to human marketing. I don't know. Is it a theme? Is it a I don't know what it is, but it's getting more and more popular to have that one-on-one contact with people. Phone calls versus
Yeah.
emails, all of that stuff is coming back around to that business to human contact. So depending upon what you sell, does it make sense? If you're e-commerce, it might not make sense. An email might make more sense, but if you're business to business, you're still selling to a human. So
Yeah.
go back to that one-on-one conversation.
I think I've seen a lot more of that lately too. At different networking events like chamber events, and that you're seeing way more attendance
Yeah.
in that lately, and I think that's good to see. There's, I mean, we belong to like networking groups and BNIs and things like that. But it's interesting that you say that because the more people I talk to and the more people we've communicated with, I really just want to have a phone call. I don't want to do the email. You lose so much in translation when it comes to email or text. And that human interaction is part of, well, who we are. I mean, you want to collaborate with people. But that is just, and it's that building that camaraderie and the collaboration is what we strive for as humans, and I think that's just so important.
Oh, even
We
going
missed it, and we missed it from COVID. I mean, that
Yeah.
started that whole ball rolling.
And even going back to like if you have a regional product, let's say you're a roofer, plumbing company, or something along those lines, sponsoring something at a beer garden in your local community, or sponsoring a little league team, or even those types of things, because that's where the parents are hanging out. That's where the homeowners are hanging out. Those are the people that are your customers. So it's not always about digital. We
Right.
need to move away from thinking that digital is the only way of doing things because we're so far past COVID now that we have to go back to that one-to-one human contact. And I'm just going to say, I've had customers in the B2C area where once the kid has that T-shirt with the brand on the back, they don't wear it just for the games. They wear it all the time, and they're literally walking advertisements for these B2C companies. Yeah,
Absolutely, and but there's, I don't know how to say this to make it sound bad, but there's a fine line of where it starts to look fake. You know what I mean? And where people like
yeah.
they sponsor just so many things, and it's okay, but they're everywhere. They're everywhere on everything, and it's kind of like, okay, I mean, are you really just trying to help the community, or are you just trying to? I don't know. Maybe that's just my side. I like to help the community as much as I can, but I don't want to overdo it. There's a balance there. Do you think you agree with
No,
that?
100%. I'm thinking of a local law firm. We could call that out on right now. So,
Well,
and so
yeah.
it's almost like you become immune to it. Oh, so I'll give you a perfect example. I have a friend of mine who's she's a travel agent, and she posts multiple times a day. And this is the advice she got from somebody, and that's fine, and that's it seems to be working for her. But for me, and with what I do, it's more of a, she's posting something instead of like it's just another one of her posts. You become immune to it. It's kind of like you
Yeah.
just you ignore it because it's just so frequent.
Yeah.
And so that's when it becomes inauthentic, in my opinion.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that goes along in a lot of different ways, but that's a social posting. I've been seeing a lot of some people posting 3, 4, 5 times a day, and it's just like I don't want to see you anymore. I mean, you're carrying nothing. There's no value to what you're saying to me. It's like the same. You're repeating the same thing 5 different ways, and it's not. There's no. The message is just the same, and it's just you're seeing your face. It's like I don't need to see that anymore.
Yeah, so if you're halfway through the year and that's what your strategy has been and it's not working, switch the
Switch
strategy.
it up.
Post 2 times or 3 times a week instead of 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And then see if that gets you more engagement. And again, going back to social media, everybody's like likes and comments when actually impressions is just as important. Making sure you have that many impressions. And so for me, if you're halfway through the year and you're doing these networking, and I always say if you join a networking group, give it a good 12 months and show up 10 times.
Yes.
Minimum.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you joined a networking group and you're like, you went 2 times in a year and you're like, why am I getting any leads? Well, that's on you.
Right.
Yeah. And so for me, halfway through the year, say, okay, am I getting good connections? And it's not always about... I have a whole thing about networking on purpose, and lead generation is only one of the things that in my opinion, networking is for, because there's a sense of community.
Right.
And then there's the education part of it. How do I become a better X? Or how do I become a better business owner? Or how do I become a better salesperson? Or whatever the case might be. And you're still getting your name out there.
Right.
And so for me, it's networking. If you're out there, I did a post on this. I probably got more responses on this post than ever. Is that if you're only networking for lead generation, nobody wants to network with you.
No.
And I cannot tell you how many yes and 100% and all those things I got in that post, because I was at a networking event and you could tell the people who were there to authentically make connections with people and who were there just to sell
and who's farming.
Their you know what.
Yep. Yeah, they're out there to farm as much as they possibly can and not sow anything or learn anything. I've gone to so many networking events over the last 12 months where I've learned something.
I love that.
And it may not even be necessarily business related. I mean, a lot of it was, but there's some things, where you're like, oh, did you know you could do this? Did you know this is available? No, I didn't even know that was available in town. I didn't know that person did that. So I think when you talk about that human interaction, if you're going in, you can see the self-serving networker a mile away. But when they walk in the door, you're like, oh man, move away, avoid. And those are the ones that they'll close your group off. So if you're in there's the art of networking. I don't know if you ever read that book or you've ever looked at it. It's called The Art of Networking, and I think it was Ivan Meisner did it. And how, when you're networking, you open yourself up to invite people to come in. And if the person that comes in that closes the circle, that's the person that wants to they want to captivate they captivate that audience. So if you see somebody that goes to groups and they captivate your circle, you keep moving your circle. Just a little tidbit.
Oh yeah, actually I can think of a few people and I network with that.
I got a few that I can't remember off the top of my head. But we talked about people that are looking at things and they're looking at all of their what they're doing for half the year. Some of the things that I've been talking to people say, when was the last time you looked at your website? And the response is me, so I haven't looked at it in 2-3 years. But I'm like, really? And so the message, I said, you got to look at your website. You can tell because at the bottom, I saw a website the other day that had the date at the bottom of the website was 2021.
The copyright 20.
I said 2021. You're a little bit behind. You should really take a look at that. Right. But I'm surprised that people don't look at their stuff more than they should, because we've always done it this way. This is the way it's always been. Have you seen people that just have not? As of late, they're not changing their creative. They haven't looked at their website. Have you run across any of that lately? It's been a big wave for me lately.
Not as probably as often as you, because I don't do website design, but at the same time, so I have a prospect meeting, and of course I stalk them on all their socials and their website and everything like that. And so for me, I was meeting with a prospect, and she was asking me some questions about, she can't figure out, they're not attracting the right clients and stuff. And so what I did was, after the meeting, I literally went on their website again once I knew what her motives were for better branding and better marketing and client experiences. And I said, well, the first thing when they hop on your website is you're trying to sell them something. You're not telling them why you're unique or why you're different. And they were a very unique company. I mean, they've got a lot of competition, but they do something so different than everybody else that they weren't even saying that until like much lower on their homepage. And so I literally sent her an email saying, well, the first thing I would do, and this is just free advice, run with it, is like this is what I would put on your website.
Yeah.
Because the first thing you do is you're trying to sell them something on the hero shot or like above the fold, or for the people who don't know what that is, it's like the first thing you see when they open your website, especially on like on a laptop or a computer.
Right.
Versus a mobile device. And if you're trying to sell them, the first thing they read is you're trying to sell to them, that's not building trust. That's not at all. And so like for me, it's like they might have looked at their website, but they're not looking at it from the customer's perspective.
Right.
They're looking at it from, do I sound professional? And is it, what am I selling? And, people don't go to your website. They go to your website to learn.
Right.
Unless you're e-commerce, the
Different
only reason
animal
your
altogether.
website exists is so people can learn more about you and say, what I always say is like, make sure you're not a psychopath. And the other part is make sure you actually know what you're talking about.
Right. Right.
That you're legitimate is that's what I mean by a psychopath. But like, make sure you're legitimate and make sure you can solve the problems that I have.
Yeah. And
Because
also, but it also has to have it has to have the good feel for the
Yeah.
good user experience, not just be a brochure.
No, exactly.
And so many people just treat everything they do as like a brochure. And that doesn't serve you well. You don't have strong calls to action. Why? What's your why?
Yeah.
Why should they do business with you? What makes you different than because everybody's biting for the same space.
Yeah.
You're not the same space, but they're biting for some companies are biting for the same. Some companies are biting for the same customers. That you got to look different. You got to differentiate yourself somehow. And if you look like a brochure, that's not gonna. I mean, but people are people. They still want to buy from people, but they want to know that they can trust you. So that's a really good point. And don't look at your website as if you make sure it's got the pretty colors and the moving little shiny objects that you want, because the customer may not like that. For people that hear this, that you want to design your website just for you, please stop.
Exactly.
I just say that, but that happens all the time.
It does. And what's interesting about your website is that, and this is when I've been doing the research with changing from Rebel Girl Marketing to Rebel Girl Revenue, is I do a lot of client experience timeline analysis.
Yeah.
And what one of the biggest aha moments they have in that is that, depending it's B2B to B2C is different, is that 50 to 90% of the decision, not the buying, but the decision-making process happens before you even know a new customer exists. Before they make that first phone call that to your company, or like they sign up for like the contact me form on your website, like they've already made most of the buying decisions there. And so if they don't trust you, if they think you're only going to sell to them, you're on to the next person in the Google lineup. And so if people understand that your marketing is about creating that trust, you have to create that trust through your website. You don't sell through your website. You create trust through your website, especially if you're B2B. Where if you're e-commerce, obviously that's a different
And they have such a short amount of time to gain that trust.
8 seconds.
8 seconds.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
I know. I'll buy you one. We'll put something in it. That's good. But seriously, that you don't really realize it. And I've chased squirrels all the time. I mean, I've got sometimes the attention span of a gnat. But I mean, but I make those decisions. I mean, I didn't really realize that I made decisions that quickly when I'm looking for products or services. I thought I did a little bit more investigative work. I don't.
I'm reading a book right now called Blink.
Okay.
By Maxwell. I never remember his last name.
Something or another.
that guy.
Yeah.
Or maybe Maxwell's the last name. Anyway, Gladwell. It doesn't matter. And what happens is that your decision-making process actually happens before you consciously make a decision. When you see something, your subconscious actually makes a decision before your conscious mind reacts to that decision.
Really?
It's really interesting. Sorry, I'm a huge psychology.
No, that's fine.
But that goes back to that hero, the landing page of, does it attract the right people?
Right.
Yeah.
And That's really fascinating.
It's called Blink.
I'm gonna have to take a look at that because that intrigues me.
Yeah.
The mind and how it all works and the stuff. That's now you kind of got me thinking about it.
Well, but in marketing, think about it.
Well,
Like
that's what it is.
Like, I don't know about you, but if I'm driving down the highway and I see a billboard, and it's cool and it grabs my attention, but the logo is so small I can't, in the 3 seconds you have to look at a billboard, if the logo is so far down in the corner that you have no idea what company it's for, as far as billboards goes, and this is a really good example for a lot of marketing, is Quick Trip does a great job.
Oh yeah.
They basically have, the fried chicken sandwich, right, is the photo.
Yep.
And then they have the Quick Trip logo and which exit. That's all they have on their billboards. And that's all you need.
That's exactly what you need.
And so because you only have a couple seconds to actually look at it. So marketing is the same way, especially here in the Midwest. The Quick Trip logo is so well known. But at the same time, it's like they're not trying to, there's no price on there. They're not trying to sell you anything. They're just like,
we got chicken. Here's where we are.
Here's where
you
it is.
Get off.
Exactly. And it needs to be that. And even on your website, you need to have something that you can tell immediately what it is, how it works, and what problems they solve.
Too many words, lose attention, and I direct mail. I got a direct mail piece from it was a window company in my mail the other day, and it had so many words on it. And I looked at it, I was just like, I got to read all this to find out what in the Sam hell you're even selling. I mean, I know it's a window company, but what's the deal? Who are you representing? And this is your process, and this is how, I don't care. I mean, if I really needed windows, which I don't, I mean, there was nothing even about, I mean, I wanted, like, say that's a large purchase. Do you offer financing? Mm-hmm. 0% finance for 12 months. Oh, I need windows. That attracts me.
Or my cousin needs windows,
right.
Or my mom needs
there
windows,
was
or
nothing. And I just wanted to call these guys up and say, what the hell was that? But that goes back to people reviewing it. But I had that amount of time to figure out if I would ever buy from that company, and based on that, I just threw it in the garbage.
Yeah.
So when you say
what's funny
that,
about the window things is that we rent now. We're kind of waiting to see what the next transition is for. And I cannot tell you how many painting companies, roofing companies, window companies show up in my mail. I'm like, I rent. I don't care. Like, why I want to, whoever's doing their marketing, I just want to slap them and go, okay, do not sell these addresses. Maybe there's a reason they do it. Maybe the person's going to buy it, but still, it's like, it makes no sense to me why that's a huge waste of marketing dollars in hundreds and hundreds of units in our complex, that they just wasted all of that money. And that's another part in the half year. It's like, is all of your money going to the people who are actually care
the target
or want?
Customer?
Yeah.
But here's going back, somebody who's been doing the same thing for the same way for 15 years, wanted to send. We were doing direct mail, and they said we're going to send it to everybody in this area. And I said, that includes like a whole ton of apartments. Mm-hmm. In apartment complexes where they're not homeowners. So they're never going to call you for that service. Yep. He said, older gentleman, this is the way we've done it. He goes, they know somebody. And I'm like, okay. But I said, are you going to bank on that $1.93 for that postcard that they know somebody that's going to get to somebody?
Yeah.
Yep. I'm like, okay. I said, here's my professional opinion. Take it for what it's worth. We're doing it. Okay, well then, have at it.
Okay, here's the PSA for that topic of, they might know somebody, but nobody has recommended somebody off of a mailer. They recommend it out of a reputation and all the other ways.
I get it, but that's
that's my PSA.
I know.
If you're spending money on direct marketing, direct mail,
yeah,
and you're sending it to people who don't actually,
they're not going to do it.
That's a whole lot.
What they end up doing, what a lot of those delivery, though, they actually end up happening is a lot of those pieces get thrown down in a bundle, and they end up sliding down the stairs, and then people pick them up and they throw them in the garbage. Mm-hmm. I mean, you see it all the time. So that's
we could go off on that for a while.
Very good PSA. But when we talk about it, how people are being found, AI has changed up a lot, and it's changing up a lot. With regards to SEO and how that's working. I mean, now you don't even have, now you got answers being done on Google when you do searches. You talk about the Google line. You kind of have to get past that the first time. So tell me, you talk with a lot of people. I talk with a lot of people. What's the temperature on the fear and how people, or not necessarily fear, but their understanding of how AI is helping marketing and SEO in this day and age? I mean, do people think they have a firm understanding of how it works and how to leverage themselves for that?
Well, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they actually understand how they get
I
found.
Yeah, I shouldn't say that. Are they making? I shouldn't. Let me put it this way.
Okay.
Are they building it in? Do you think that they're building it into their plans in order to be found on using the AI tools that are out there?
Probably not, because of the whole "this is how we've always done it" mentality.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, I have two friends in one of my networking groups, and they both got very large jobs based on the fact that they were recommended through AI, and they're like. One is a Microsoft trainer.
Okay.
And one is runs a small business community.
Yeah.
And so both of them, that was how they were found. But what's going to happen is that it goes back to where you are digitally online and like the websites and the frequently asked questions that you have in there. Because if one of your frequently asked questions, AI picks it up when they do a search, that's how you get found on AI, is that you have to have the content out there for them to find you. And it could be in a blog, it could be on your website, it could be on your socials, or it doesn't really matter where it is, but you have to know what the people are asking in their AI searches and then put that in your marketing, and that's how you get found by AI.
Yeah, I've it's a whole strategy. I mean, it's not
yeah.
it's not like waving a magic wand and saying, "Oh, by the way, you show up in ChatGPT when they say where's the number one ABC company in the world." But I think that there's people are starting to wake up to it. But my fear is, and we're trying to educate as people as much as we can, as fast as we can, is that you can't. The longer you wait, the further behind the eight ball you're going to get. And you don't wait. Start that process now and understand it. You don't have to be proficient at it. That's what our job is.
Yeah.
But understand that you have to start using it, understand how it works so you can be found. Because more and more people are going to they base everything off what they find on their AI agents that they're using. They say, "Hey, who's this?" And they say, "Oh, there's your top 5. I'm going to call these guys," or look, and they're going to do their research. But if you're not, companies have to start waking up to the fact that they've got to position themselves in this mode, or they're going to be left behind.
Well, okay, you and I have been in this business for a very long time.
Right.
So it reminds me of when, the World Wide Web started to show up, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's just what's the word? It's just like a
fad.
It's a fad. Thank you. That's what I was looking for." And I've heard that, like, "Oh, AI is not." I'm like, "Oh no, AI is not going anywhere." And quite honestly, I've done Google searches and I've done AI searches, and I'm telling you that my AI search is more accurate than my Google search. It gets me to where I want to go because, how do I say this nicely? Google wants to get paid, and so they're only going to show you the people, and Google could come after me, that's fine. But they're only going to show you the people. They're first going to show you the people who are paying them that's the right answer, instead of where AI is just trying to find the right answer.
Right.
So far. I mean, advertisement, So far, they're just going to give you the best answer, not who's going to pay them to give you the best answer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, they do want to get paid. I mean, that's for sure. But there's AI is so troublesome to me in some respects because you can't, some of those answers that you have, when you get the answers, when you search for it, you really have to make sure that they still have to make sure that it's accurate.
Yeah.
And I've been finding more and more that there's those inconsistencies are still there.
They're both inconsistent.
Yeah.
I'm not saying AI is perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
I'm not saying don't do Google ads, not by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah. All I'm saying is that, like, you have to do both.
Yep.
That's really my answer. You need to do both because people are either going to look on Google or they're going to look on AI, and it depends upon. It's all about the prompt.
Yeah,
quite honestly, it's all about the prompt.
It is. Yeah. It is. And I've been learning more and more as I've been getting involved in how to make sure that what the output is comes how the input is there.
Right.
And that's just like, what garbage in, garbage out. You put a bad input in there, you're going to get garbage out.
Very true.
So there is that. Speaking of paid ads, I just out of curiosity, I asked this question. Do you scroll past them? When you search for somebody, do you scroll past the paid ads to go down to the search engine rankings, or do you look at this paid ads first when you search?
I scroll past them.
Okay. I just asked that, I'm there's no right or wrong answer. I like to ask and see what people do, and it's usually it's 50-50.
Right. So what's interesting about that is that because I do sales training
Right.
and because I do marketing and like all that stuff, I am the hardest person to sell to. I really am. Is because I can you can
I'm terrible
totally
to sell
see.
to. I'm terrible to sell.
Oh, my
to.
husband, man, he falls for all of it, which is really nice for me because I can, convince him to do things that I want to do.
Right.
He doesn't listen to the podcast. It's fine. And so what's interesting for me though is that like I don't want to be sold to. I want to like do my own research.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying if I can't find it below the ads, I don't go back up and look at the ads.
Right.
And sometimes those are the better answers. I'm
can
just
be.
saying I want to know what the genuine one is before I go back and look at the paid stuff. And I've clicked on the paid stuff for sure because sometimes that's the better answers to my question.
Yeah.
But I go down before I go back up and look at the paid stuff. So
I am one of those guys that does get a good infomercial hit me across the face. I'm like, I gotta have it. I am that type of guy here and there. But if there's and they all know it, full disclosure, because I'll come and say, look what I bought. And they're like, no, that was written exclusively for you.
Yes.
And I go, absolutely. But when it comes to like, if I'm looking for, a lawn service or I'm looking for something like that, I always am scrolling past to see, okay, who's showing up and where are they ranked. And I do more research that. But if it comes to a car or some like large purchase or something like that, I'm just the.
Well, I just recently bought a new car. So.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
I can't. Oh, man, that is the worst experience in the world.
I actually just did an entire blog on the fact that the person that I bought the car from never sold to me.
Really?
It was just all information, and I actually bought a vehicle I was not looking at, but it only because it had everything that I was looking for. It just was more of a small SUV than like a sedan, but it drives like it drives like a sedan. It had everything I was looking for, and it wasn't an upsell at all. It was more of a, well, if these are all the things you're looking for, would you consider just test driving it, kind of a thing. And it happened to be in red, which I really wanted a red car.
Nice.
But at the same time, then when sidebar story. But
right.
At the same time, what happened was I just did in my podcast, the Pitch to Purchase podcast, I did an entire month on selling. And I interviewed a sales trainer, and kind of like when you were on the podcast and I talked about marketing. Right. And what was funny is I was making fun of used car salesmen. And so when I gave him my business card, it was like a Friday, like after hours, he was with me. And so they didn't take any of my information. We never actually went into the building. Mm-hmm. And the next day, I'm like, I want that. I want to put money down on it because I can't come in today to buy it, but I'll come in Monday or Tuesday to buy it. And he's like, I listened to your podcast. I'm like, okay. And he goes, you made fun of used car salesmen. I'm like,
oh, no.
Oh, crap. But what happened is that he was literally the antithesis of that used car salesman mentality.
Yeah.
Never once did he try to sell me something.
Yeah.
But he informed me and led me to the what I actually purchased.
Right.
Funny story is, the other car dealership called me, and I said, well, I'm buying this instead. And they're like, you're going to regret it. Like a total used car salesman type of mentality.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, you've got to really.
It solidified you made the right decision first and foremost.
Exactly. But at the same time, it's one of those things where I did all the research.
Mm-hmm.
For months, I did research.
Yeah.
And I used AI to help me do the research, and it was never even in any of the things I was looking for because it wasn't the vehicle I was looking for. But I bought it because it fit everything that I was looking for. It just was a different style car.
Yeah.
And so for me, I did a ton of research. Like I would say 75 to 80% of my buying process was made before I talked to the first salesperson.
Interesting. You mentioned research, and I'm going to come back to something we talked about earlier. Obviously, in business, time is money, and business owners they're getting an ROI on what they're doing their marketing for. Business owners, I think, need to do a little bit better. They need to do their research before they start getting and jumping into a lot of these different types of marketing avenues. People are always coming at them. You got to advertise here, advertise this, do this. Go and get in our golf cards. Get in and get in this flyer program. Get in this. Here's these mailings. Here's all these different things, and they throw good money. I don't want to say throw good money at bad, but they're using these dollars and they're spreading themselves all over. I think business owners just really need to sometimes take a deep breath and slow down and not everything is the best thing in the world just because somebody comes at you and says that it is. And, ABC companies do it and this company's doing it. It might not be the best thing for you because you talk about revenue and you're helping people maintain that they're earning, that they're earning money in the businesses that they're in. That's one of the biggest common mistakes I've been seeing over the course of the last 6 to 9 months is people just throwing money at everything.
Yeah.
And they're just not earning.
Because I think more marketing equals more sales when it 100% in my opinion, is the opposite.
Yep.
I have a client right now who radio ads is working really well for them. So he wants to be on every radio station everywhere. And I'm like, this is not where your people hang out. Like he actually did spend, I said no, he did it anyway. And he's like, well, there's $15,000 down the drain. And I go, well, because that's not where your people are.
Right.
So it's kind of fun because now he listens to me more. But one of the things is that if they a radio ad, somebody hears you on the radio, they're like, oh, hey, they should come over here. And so they're going to sell to you and sell to you and sell to you when just because it's working in one area doesn't mean it's going to work in all the different areas.
Right.
And again, it goes back to the most basic foundational thing of marketing and branding is understanding your client.
Yep.
And not just the person who pays the check, but who's using your product and
where they're at.
Who are the people who are influencing them.
Yeah.
And so it's very foundational. So if you're halfway through the year and it's not working, I would look at 2 things.
Yep.
First thing I would look at is what is working and just let it go. I would see what's not working and then do a really good analysis of see if that's something you should stop doing. But the third thing is that I would make sure, 4 things. I would make sure that you're where you're going, your ideal customer's hanging out. That's where they go to get their information, and make sure that you're talking about in the customer's language, it's not a walking brochure to your point earlier.
Yep.
That it's talking to the client about the client and what it's solving for the client. Because nobody cares how you do the business or how you do your job. They just want to know, is the end result going to work or not?
Right. And here's the one, but we're afraid to try new things.
Well, then I hope you're happy where you're at.
Right. And, but my response to that is, well, if you don't try new things, you're never going to know if you're going to get a better result.
Right.
So you can't be afraid to try new things. Just have your metrics to know when you need to stop. You don't want to just keep doing something for the sake of doing it, because if you're there's the first $1,000, here's $2,000, here's $3,000, you have to cut it off at some point in time. Mm-hmm. So that maybe it's not 6 months. Maybe that we're halfway through the year. Maybe it's 3 months. I don't know what that's now. There's no concrete answer for that. But the people that are afraid to try new things, get past it. You got to get past it. You got to try new things. Not everything works every single one. Nobody bats 1,000 in marketing.
Well, and it's the whole Einstein's definition of insanity.
Keep doing the same thing over and over.
Expect different results.
That is insanity.
Yeah.
And that's marketing. No, I'm just kidding. Not at all. But but it is true. But people just, we're creatures of habit, and I get it, and that's just the way we are. But we just have to make sure that we're trying new things and capitalizing on the things that are working.
Yeah, because Tony Robbins is the one who said it. He said AI is not going to take over your job, but the people who are using AI will.
Yeah. That's a great sentence.
Yeah.
That's a really great sentence.
Yeah. And so it's not going to, and it's so interesting because it's, I know it's one of those things where somebody asked me as a favor to review a website. And so I was taking a look at it. And the first thing is, I didn't even get halfway through down the page, and I just went, AI wrote this.
Oh, it's so self-evident.
They did a study, and they said that, I think it was on LinkedIn, did a study and said that something like 85 or 90% they can read, because you can see if something's written by AI, of the posts out there are written by AI.
I send them through a checker.
Do you really?
I've sent stuff through a checker.
I've always wanted to do that.
It's staggering how much stuff is being put out there by people, and it's one. You can tell it blew my mind.
Yeah.
How much is being done. And the stuff you know that you can see right away. You're like, okay,
M dashes and
that's
all
just
the
dashes. That's AI written.
and like
There's sentence.
Yeah.
Right. I said
Yeah.
that is just horrible.
Yeah.
But then I saw this article. I saw this blog that came through from a hunting affiliation that I'm with. I said this is really interesting, but boy, that doesn't sound like something they've written before.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you constantly read the same person or read something from the same group or company or whatever, boy, that just sounds completely different. I'm like, oh, I wonder. Oh, so I copied and I went in. I sent it into a self checker and it says, yeah, this was 100% written by AI.
And I'm not
I'm
against
not
AI
against it.
helping.
No,
But
no.
how I utilize it is I write a blog or I do something. I stick it in the AI and say, help me finish, the sentence structure and like, what am I missing, or like, is there an order that's like better, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then that's very helpful because I'm not a grammar Nazi and I
Oh,
don't play
man.
one on TV. So for me, it's more like I want to make sure that it's done well. But sometimes it'll be like, did you think about this? I'm like, oh, that's a really good point. I should probably put that in there. You know what I mean? I love it for that, but I don't say, write me a blog about,
Oh yeah.
email marketing. That no.
No, and you can tell when it's done that way. But so a tip for business owners out there, halfway through the year, if you're using AI exclusively for without having anything authentically done by yourself, stop.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing that, people can see it,
Yeah.
and you're hurting your brand.
Well, 100%. And it's so funny because I have somebody in my network who bought one of the CRMs that everything is done through AI.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't even like look at it. I go, you don't even like review it or like read it before it goes out on your social post? And he's like, well, no, that's what AI is for. And I'm like, and you wonder why you don't have anybody in your pipeline right now.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Authenticity is still king.
It goes back to the business to human.
Right.
We want authentic people. To your point of like, you can tell the person who's from a mile away who's there just to sell their stuff in a networking event.
Yeah, and for those people that think that the world is going to be run by robots and they're going to be walking around feeding you dinner all the time and everything, no, that's probably not going to happen.
This is not Wall-E.
We will be dead by that. It's not Wall-E. Yeah, we'll be long gone before that happens. So, but don't worry. The world is not going to be taken over by robots. People will still need humans,
Yes.
just so you know. All right, good. That's a good place to stop. So halfway through the year, take a look at everything you got going on. Change what's not working. Capitalize what is working. Look at your ROI. Make sure you're generating revenue for yourself and your business. Don't be afraid to try new things.
And make sure that you're not. It's not a walking brochure.
It's not a walking brochure, and it's not AI 100% generated.
Oh God, yeah.
Please stop doing that if you are.
Nobody cares.
All right. Well, that's a good place to stop. So I'm going to ask you 4 questions. I know we've talked about this before, but I'm going to see if there's anything else. What's another good piece of advice in business that somebody gave you?
Okay, so there's a book. It's a book, but it's not a business book, but it applies to business.
Mm-hmm.
Sahel Bloom's The 4 Types of Wealth.
Oh.
5 Types of Wealth.
Okay. 5.
And what I love about it is financial wealth is last. It's about time wealth is his very first thing. And making sure you have the time for the people in your lives and yourself and your health, and which is the health wealth is another one. But it's really good because I do apply it a lot to when I set up my week. Like, am I doing the things that move my business forward?
Right.
Am I spending the time on the things that move my business forward?
Mm-hmm.
Am I putting time in my week for my own health? Like that kind of stuff. So like I look at my week a lot differently now than I used to in the past. Going back to the busy marketing versus productive marketing. Am I having a busy week or am I having a productive week? So that is one thing that I saw him speak, and I love just his concept on like life is about living and not about, busy's the new stupid. I don't remember who said it.
Busy's the new stupid.
Yeah.
I like that.
There's 3 people who claim that they said it, so I don't know who said it.
Yeah.
I didn't come up with it, but that's my new philosophy on formulating my week. That's the best advice I've gotten.
That's good advice that I need to pay attention to as I'm being told from other people, and it's true. Sometimes we make our own messes, and we make our own busyness, in a lot of things. And I'm that person. So I got a new grandchild here now, so I'm focusing on that. I get it. I'm starting to be more conscious of it.
Yeah.
and not making the list of
It's like
9 million things.
it's that
only
first
8.
response we usually get. How is things? Busy.
Yeah.
And I just go, oh, that's too bad. Well, it's not a bad busy. You know what I mean? I don't respond like I did before. Like now I'm like, oh, it's too bad you're too busy because
There's life out there.
Life's meant to be lived. Yeah.
There's life out there. Good. So we learned about the book that we should be reading, Blink.
Blink and the
Was it
five
the
five
five?
types of wealth.
Okay, I'm answering the second question for you because I'm going to totally get in on Blink.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
You've got my attention on that.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big book reader, but all the time, but
That's why audiobooks exist.
good point.
Oh no, I'm not a big book. I listen.
You listen to books?
Oh, all the time.
Oh.
I'm much more of an audio learner than I'm a visual.
Okay, because I told people that I read the Bible last year, and they're like, "You read it?" I said, "No, I listened to it." But I made it through.
Hey, you made it through.
But I made it through. So if listeners really take away one thing from today's episode, what would that be?
Treat your marketing expense like you would any other expense you have on your books.
Oh, that's good advice.
Yeah.
Very good advice.
We always look at our expenses for vehicles and gas and all the things. Like look at your marketing expense and make sure that you analyze that as much as you would analyze anything else.
Great way to end it. All right. Well, thank you so much for being
Thank
out
you.
here today and going over this with me. And we love having you on here. You're welcome back here anytime. I love conversations with you.
Yeah, we keep threatening bourbon to be in the next one, but that hasn't happened yet.
We just got to do it on a Friday afternoon and we'll get her done.
Sounds good.
Talk to you later.
All right.